Hey guys, I've ordered up some parts for the Spartan radio and some other radios, so I can't work on those right now. And I'm waiting on some veneer supplies, so I can't work on my veneer projects. So I thought I'd record a few tutorials on cleaning up cabinets and chassis. First up, Bakelite. That's an early plastic-like material made from a nasty cocktail of formaldehyde, sawdust, not sure what else. They put it into a hydraulic press and squeeze it under tons of pressure, and it would end up coming out like this, which is an incredibly tough material that's impervious to just about any type of chemical or solvent and whatnot. And it looks beautiful when it's really polished up. However, if it's exposed to the elements, direct sunlight, it can really fade and get nasty looking. Here's an example of a Motorola that I just picked up last week. Doesn't look too bad in one area here. We can see it's kind of shiny, but the rest of it is really dull. There was probably something set on top of this to protect it from the sunlight, while the front edge was exposed probably for years or decades. But there's stuff you can do about it. So here's a few products I've used with various degrees of success. Soft Scrub, Brasso, and Novus, which makes three products, Novus 1, 2, 3, which are various degrees of grit and slightly different applications I'll get into. Basically what you do is squirt down one of these products and go in a circular motion and keep going away, and your rag will turn this brownish color, which some people think is like cigarette tar coming off the set. But no, it actually is some of the Bakelite material coming off. It's no big deal though, it's normal, it'll always happen. Keep going at it, and as your material of choice, like Brasso I'm using here, wears out, squirt more down and keep going until it starts to look good. Clear it off occasionally, see how it's coming. This is actually rough to the touch, so you can tell when it's getting smoother like this. It's noticeably different. So that'll generally get you pretty good, but you can go a step further, which I've done on this Admiral set. And what I did here is I used some Novus number 2. Squirt this down, and again, circular motions. This is a little bit different though. This you want to use like car wax. So put it on and leave it moist and let it dry to a haze. And then buff it off with a clean cloth using short strokes. Again, just like car wax. And when you're done, generally that's all you're going to need to do. It'll look great from then on. There's some, if you want to, there's a product called Magnolia Glaze, which is actually formulated for telephones. It comes in an aerosol can. It's kind of like wax with some various oils in it. It works pretty well. But generally just the Novus 2 will be good enough for you. Now here's an extreme case where the Bakelite case was actually cracked into 2 pieces, and I had to do some extensive gluing. I used some JB Weld on the inside with some dowels to glue this back together. It was also very warped because it was not only cracked, but something heavy had been placed on top of this and really mashed down the top. And since I glued this up, actually a crack has reformed. Anyways, because of all that gluing and the work I had to do, the finish was really marred up. So this I did actually sand down and paint. Now when you sand Bakelite, you don't want to sand too heavily, because underneath that hard, smooth finish, there's some actual nasty stuff inside, the formaldehyde, the sawdust, and whatnot. You really don't want to breathe that in or break through it. Plus, once you do, that inner material is really just kind of pulpy. It's never going to buff out to a smooth surface. So if you get something that's really damaged, or the hard surface is down to the pulpy interior, you really are down to almost treating it like a car with Bondo or other filler material. In this case, I actually used JB Weld to fill in the voids. JB Weld is a 2-part epoxy with some actual iron filings in it to make it even tougher. Basically, I applied that along the seam, let it harden, and then sanded this down. Coat of primer, more sanding, another coat of primer, more sanding, a couple finish coats. And since this crack reappeared, I'm going to have to sand this down and give it a couple more finish coats. But you know, just to give you some idea what can be done. This thing was a real dog when I first got it, and now I think it looks great. One more thing to come up. Gotta head out to the back porch for that. And this is a case of me actually stripping down the paint off of a Bakelite cabinet. You know, some of these things, even though Bakelite's a cool material, they did actually paint them to make it different colors, because I believe basic Bakelite is either going to be black or dark brown. So I had a broken radio cabinet, and somebody online that sent me a case that had been painted white, but the paint was in pretty bad shape, so I'm going to strip it off and then repaint it. Because Bakelite is such a hard material and very chemically resistant, you can pretty much throw anything you want to at it to clean off paint, goop, crap, whatever may be on it. I've tried various things, and do yourself a favor and use one of the environmentally and friendly citrus-based products like Citrus Action or Citrus Strip. You could also use this stuff, which has methyl ketones or methyl ethyl chloride, which is really nasty to breathe, and if you get on your skin, it's pretty nasty, and it's probably carcinogenic too. This stuff, the citrus-based products, they're a little rough on your skin too, so you know, you definitely want to use protection. Read all the warnings on this stuff and follow the directions. But basically, yeah, slop it on. I use a paintbrush to apply the citrus strip, and just wait. So you don't want to scrape this stuff because you don't want to mar the finish, because generally underneath the paint, the Bakelite's going to be really in fantastic protected condition. This has been going for about 2 days now, and most of the paint's come off. It'll start to bubble and flake, then you can just use a cloth and it should start coming off. Once you got basically all the paint off, use something like odorless mineral spirits and a rag and wipe the whole thing down really well to neutralize the stripper and clean it all off. And then, hey, it's up to you. In some cases it looks so good you might just want to leave it. In this case I am going to repaint it white though. I've already got one that's a dark color, and I think it'd be nice to have a pair of a brown and a white one. Anyways, I hope this gives you some help with your Bakelite projects rather. And next up, I think I will do a tutorial on removing rust from chassis. That's all for now.